no tay igawit simigaw yan no tani stop sis ka PM yan kanigan na ni duan we just miskiri tina ni duyan mo nagpa tos ka giwita mo ni so ka giya yamin ay naga ni duwi mo to tot tas poi ko sini sani gan ni duan kagiskiri ta ko idin yo ni tiu chini stop pigis ko yan agay gay nagiwi papagat si mag so igo se agay igaga gdo ay nagi nati ni tani duit ni tayo ni mo pegoni sta ka galasi muan. To those of you that don't speak Korea, I said hello. Thank you very much for the opportunity to come here to speak. You know, I'm glad and honored that I was asked to come here. I'm glad to be a part of this opportunity. It is something I feel is very important. I feel that it is important that we send that message strongly to the rest of the country so that people can choose to understand it. I find that that ignorance is something that can be easily defeated if we all give an effort to inform everyone. If that people can come from a properly informed perspective, then everyone can achieve an understanding and realize that we're all here together, that we're all here in the North together, and that what we want for each other is to have better lives, right? That's the bottom line. So initially, I want to acknowledge my uncle that spoke earlier. You know, I was asked to go to Ottawa I was one of the chiefs that went to Ottawa, and I was asked to go there to support, you know, Chief Spence and the other hunger strikers, because I believe fundamentally what it was that they were doing was very important, and that I stood by Idle No More and the grassroots movement that were there, trying to push the agenda and the movement forward. So I went there. And I'd like to acknowledge, you know, Grand Chief Nipanak from the Assembly of Manitoba Chiefs, Grand Chief Harper, and Grand Chief Clear Sky. Because we as chiefs mandated those individuals to take a very strong stance in Ottawa. Because when we were in Ottawa, we decided that life was more important than a meeting with the Prime Minister. We decided that prior to any political structure, that we would put those people's lives before any of that. And we said, we need to save these people's lives. We need their issues addressed so that we can take them home after we meet with you, Mr. Prime Minister. And the Manitoba Chiefs set that standard, and we pushed it forward, and we built consensus in that room of all of the rest of the people in the country, and that was the stance we took. And we decided that we would go and walk amongst our people, the thousands of people that were in Ottawa that day, that filled the streets of Ottawa. There was 3 city blocks full of people, and I was proud to be there to walk amongst those people. And I stood by them, and I honored my ancestors that day because we took that stance, and that we wouldn't sell out for anybody. And to this day, I acknowledge those leaders for taking that stance for those people. And I listen carefully, and my pulse is on what it is our people need, and I will continue to move forward. So I commend those people for what happened that day, and I commend all of you for being here today, to come here to get some more understanding, to push away the barriers and the blocks that blind us from realizing that we're all here and that we're actually unified. All the issues that we have as First Nations people are Canada's issues too. Canada has an issue with housing. Canada has an issue with providing adequate education to Canadians. Canada has issues with providing proper care, health care for their elderly. Canada has all of these issues that we have as First Nations communities as well. Ours, however, are amplified in different respects, but these are all the issues that Canada has. So our issues are Canada's issues. And Canada needs to wake up and shake itself and say, well, why isn't our government providing for us. When we were in Ottawa, the reason why we were unable to push the issue the way it needed to be pushed was because the government doesn't care about life. The Governor General was happy to give Chief Teresa Spence a cup of soup broth at his door and tell her, go back to the river and starve over there. That's what I understood from that action. Stephen Harper was too stubborn and pig-headed when he was given a list of reasonable demands to say, listen, you need to listen to these people. Help us save these people's lives so we can take them home like champions. The hubris, the stupidity. He chose not to be a leader. He chose to come from whoever else's agenda and not preserve those lives of those people and the efforts and the opportunity he had to show this country that he was willing to deal with these issues in good faith and move forward and build bridges and not further divide us all. So when we come here today, we have to be reminded, please, remember what built this country. Remember what built Thompson. Remember what built Manitoba. A generation and a half ago, when my grandmother Rosie Colomb was born, she passed away 2 years ago. When Rosie Colomb was born, when her parents were born, there was no Canada, there was no Manitoba. This is not ancient history. It's not ancient history. So within that lifetime, what was done in order to build this country, to build this province, to build these municipalities, to build what we have today? So I encourage everyone, get out of your comfort zones. Get out of your comfort zones and please understand. Seek the knowledge that is there, that is readily available. And truly understand, why are there third world conditions in Manitoba? Why are there? Within 40 miles of my community, within 27 kilometers of my community is one of the massive gold deposits in this country. And if I was to allow the status quo to continue on, there will still be third world conditions in my community. Why is that? Right? Why are my relatives in Nelson House, after all the beautiful development of Thompson, unable to achieve a certain standard? After all these years, follow the money. Where does it go? Where does the money go? Where does Vale Inco take our money? They carve off a sliver to the federal government. They carve off a sliver to the provincial government. Where does our mutual wealth go in this country when we can't look after our elders, when we can't educate our children, when we can't give ourselves proper health care? Where does it go? It doesn't stay in Canada. So why were we idle? I ask myself, and that's why I came here today. Why were we idle? The only reason why we were idle is because, unfortunately, we're doomed to repeat. History is doomed to repeat itself. We just have to go back. Someone mentioned earlier, you know, when First Nations people were allowed to vote. Somebody mentioned earlier when we were allowed to legally leave our communities. When we were legally allowed to seek legal counsel. When we were able to start participating in this country. It's not ancient history. It's not even a generation ago. It's decades ago. So why were we idle? Because we agreed we will help you build this country as long as we respect each other. We will agree to allow people to come into our territories, and we will be partners, and we will move forward, and we will not fight with each other. And it happened, it went, it worked. But every once in a while we tend to lose sight of that. People tend to get a little too comfortable and have too much ignorance or a lack of understanding of certain things, and start to decide that, well, I'm such a hard-working person here in Thompson. What are all those people doing in Nelson House and Thicket Portage and wherever they are? And I'm out here working. Well, you're allowed to work because they agreed to stay where they were. You're allowed to be where you are because all those people agreed, because someone told them, we are working for your best interest. So, that is why we were idle. In 1982, this country was brought to its knees because people were going to take advantage of certain situations or perceived lack of understanding. That was corrected. As I said earlier, history is doomed to repeat itself. Again, the current government of the day is forgetting that there are partners in this country. And luckily they're forgetting that they represent the people of this country too, and not industry. And we have to remember that we are allies as we move forward, and that we have to shake people out of their comfort zones, regardless if they want to or not. It is our obligation. It is our obligation as people in this room that we challenge everyone to become better informed and better educated. How can we have such long waiting lists in our hospitals? How can we have all of these issues that all of our communities endure in this day and age? Hudbay has bragged on their web pages. Go Google their web page today when you go home after this meeting. They've harvested $168 billion worth of natural resources from the Matthias Colom ancestral lands since 1916 to today.
Holy smokes.
So you translate that into actually processed material. What is the value of that? All of their mines, 26 mines in that period. What have they given us? Where's their legacy to my community? Where's the school? Where's the pool? Where's the health center? How can that be? So I take a look at the town of Flin Flon. What is their legacy in that town? What is it? There's an area called Phantom Lake. It's beautiful. It's got lakes and ponds and there's play structures and it's like a Norman Rockwell painting. And I guess back in the 50s, it was one of the most happening places to be. The company people would take their children there and they would set up and they would let the kids play in Phantom Lake. So a few of my friends a couple of years ago said, you know what, that's kind of getting derelict, people aren't using, let's volunteer. Let's volunteer so we can go and use this play structure so the people of, the children of Flin Flon can benefit from it. As soon as they started to do it, they were told, get off of our property. Private property, get off. And I don't know enough about Vale Inco. What's their legacy in this area? No? What is their legacy in Thompson? What have they done for us, for our communities? When you think about the amount of money they've made over the years. So we're not going to be idle anymore. We will not be idle anymore. We demand change. We have to remember the issue is sovereignty. The issue is ownership. Those are the issues. And those are the issues we need to push forward, and we need to come to a new understanding and a new way to move forward. So thank you very much for your time. I'm glad that you were able to come here today. I encourage everyone we need to do our part to inform everyone and become better educated in different respects. And keep in mind that everybody has an agenda, even me. But just one quick thing, you know, when I spoke about 1982, You know, the constitutional talks and all the stuff that happened, see? People tend to forget the role of our leadership. I don't get into the Indian Act system. I don't get into the hereditary system. In my language, I'm Oniga Anyu. Oniga Anyu. I am the leader. I'm not a boss. I'm not a band manager. I'm not a director. I'm the leader. And that is how I see myself. And I come from a family of leaders as well. So in 1982, when the leaders of that day, who were cast off as obscure people, who nobody had to pay any mind or any attention to, got up and shook people out of their apathy and reminded them who they were, and actually halted things in this country. A form of appeasement went on during that time. Oh, you know, we got to listen to these people all of a sudden. They're a force to contend with. We have to listen to them. What do they want? Oh, they want better education for their communities. Well, let's develop an education position for them. Oh, they want better services for themselves. Well, let's look after let's give them an opportunity to look after their health care, and so on and so on. So there was this form of appeasement, but at the same time, that's when the government of the day said, we need to start making those people look bad so that nobody will follow them anymore. So people will argue with them, so people won't give them the credit that they deserve.
That's right.
So I've been at these Idle No More things, and I've heard people come with uninformed positions. And I encourage all of you not to listen to that, to move forward and find out the truth. Unfortunately, there are corrupt people like Brazo. You know, there are inept people like Minister Duncan. You know, those people exist. There's people that manipulate systems, like all the 3 or 4 senators that have just been besmirched and disgraced in the media. Those people are everywhere, right? But who are the true leaders? Who are the true leaders? And what is their role? And don't listen to people that started a prefabricated notion of what leadership was in 1982, so that things, when today happens, they could try and discredit me and the rest of my honorable colleagues that I'm proud to stand with, that I was proud to stand with in Ottawa, and that I will continue pushing this agenda forward with. So, thank you very much.
Thank you, Chief.